Turning now to a wrap of your top stories of the day.
Good Friday morning. CMPD investigating the city's latest homicide. This one happening here in East Charlotte off Briar Grove Road, which is right off of Milton Road. Police say they were called to a location by a family who wanted a welfare check on their loved one who they hadn't heard from in days. They say when the police got there, that's when they found that victim's body. Police now are asking anyone with any information about this incident to please give them a call.
In North Charlotte, police tell us 3 people were seriously injured after a shooting. It happened around 9:30 last night outside an apartment complex on Greers Grove and Beatty's Ford Road. No word yet what led to that incident. We have reached out to CMPD and will update you as we get more information.
And a fatal crash happened this morning on I-77, still impacting those northbound lanes. You can see it there at exit 45, but that is still extending 8.5 miles south, expected to stay closed through 8 a.m. this morning. And those detours right now are ongoing. You'll want to take Highway 22 if you typically head up towards Statesville. If you take I-77 northbound, this is a big ongoing accident that happened just after 4:30 this morning.
And for your Guy Roof 70 forecast, check it out. It is going to be a warm one going forward. Just keep that in mind as we are continuing over the next few days. 90, 80, and then we start to see a pop-up shower, a thunderstorm on Saturday and Sunday, but most of us staying dry.
I got some water if you need it.
Yeah, sorry.
So you okay?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Getting choked up about it.
Are you dehydrated?
Emotional? No, not yet.
Okay. A reminder, the news doesn't end here. We're live all day with breaking news, weather, and traffic.
On WCNC Plus. Join us there.
streaming live right now on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington, taking a live look at Uptown. The skies are clear. Chris says that we may have to turn on the air conditioning today.
But first, let's get out to some breaking news affecting your morning commute in Iredell County. A deadly crash shutting down I-77 North.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is there now. Destiny, what is the latest? We know that the impacts are going to be the traffic delays there.
That's right. We're here in Troutman this morning where folks are getting off of I-77 northbound here at exit 42, which is the exit onto US 21 or Charlotte Highway. And right now we're seeing backups as folks try to turn left onto Charlotte Highway, try to go northbound up towards the center of Troutman as well as further north to Statesville. They can't get onto I-77 north from here. We're seeing closed signs down here. Road closed, so folks cannot turn that way. So lots of backups happening here. But this crash happened earlier this morning, and it has the lanes closed on I-77 northbound in this area. A Chevy Silverado is traveling south in the northbound lanes on I-77 and collided head-on with a tractor trailer. We know the driver of that Chevy Silverado died, and then the driver of the tractor trailer was taken to the hospital. They have minor injuries, but the tractor trailer itself caught on fire. There was a fire after that crash, and it overturned in the median, and because of that, it is all lanes closed on northbound I-77 in this area. So it's going to have residual effects for folks here in Troutman. This is the area where it's closed. We didn't see any issues as we were driving up here on I-77. We did have to get off earlier, but it's really just in the Troutman area here in Iredell County that you'll have some issues, and then you'll have to find a workaround, of course, to get all the way up to Statesville if you're going further north. So I'll go ahead and send it over to Majestic. She has a look at the traffic impacts from this crash.
Destiny, we are not only seeing that one, but multiple accidents across the area as we're heading into our Friday morning. But let's get to those details as we've been following this for quite some time now. So again, I-77 northbound is closed at Troutman. That's where the accident did happen. But you can see this is extending down in over 8.5 miles at this point. So really not good conditions if you usually take I-77 north. The best alternate route right now is going to be Highway 21. You can see how it goes around it, and our live traffic maps are showing really smooth moving conditions for that alternate route. In addition to that, we do have a couple of accidents I want to let you know about a little closer to Uptown. This one here just coming in is a crash on Alma Court at Statesville Ave, bringing some medium impacts. And then to the south of that, another one, there's a crash on Carowinds Boulevard on Highway 49, which was Tryon Street. One last one I want to let you know about, it's here, it's on Highway 160. Bringing some impacts there, kind of just a fender bender. We'll have more details on that ongoing accident on I-77 with northbound lanes still closed, expected to stay closed through 8 a.m.
Thanks a lot, Majestic. So check it out. The warmest we've been so far this year, 88 degrees. Yesterday we hit 86. Today, best shot at 90 degrees. But even if we hit 89, it's still the warmest, and it's feeling like the warmest as well. And then tomorrow, also matching the warmest that we've been so far. So 90 degrees, that's the pinnacle. We typically do it around May 20th for the first time here in Charlotte. And we're pretty much spot on. 4 days off. But even if we don't hit it, it's still the hottest day. Check it out. Feeling like the lower to the mid 90s through the afternoon. I think it's close to that 90, 92 is our real feel, what you realistically going to have across Mecklenburg County. But the muggy meter has this face, either a frowny to a oh no. Yesterday you felt it, today you feel it even more of that air you can wear. And we're pretty close to that threshold. Whenever dew points are around 70, and they're going to be very close today, that is that muggy factor, and that's today. Tomorrow, still uncomfortable, but it's a little bit better. Barely noticeable, kind of like yesterday. And then Sunday's the only day that's significantly dry before that mugginess starts to come right back early next week. Our rain chances very isolated Saturday and Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, I think actually have a better shot than Saturday and Sunday here. Wednesday is the transition day. Another cold front's going to push through, and that's the best chance for scattered showers and storms. This is the big story. Right here, from Missouri over through majority Kentucky is really under the gun here. Southern parts of Indiana, and I even include the Ohio Valley. That's where you have the best chance for long lasting wind events. These are derechos, bow echoes, and then you can also have some embedded strong tornadoes with that as well. But that does put us in the low to medium threshold for a chance for severe storms overnight tonight and a low chance for tomorrow. Now, one thing about tomorrow, the storms are going to struggle to fire up. And some areas, I think a little bit closer to Raleigh, have a better chance, but not so much here. As far as the instability goes, we're really lucky that we don't have a front that's driving into us because it is so unstable with all that moisture near 90 degrees that we could have a big severe weather outbreak. We really don't have the necessary lifting mechanism to help us get that going. Anytime you have a bright white, it's almost tough to look at. That just shows how unstable that area is, and that's why it's such an under the gun storm chance. As for a storm fuel for your Saturday, it is here, but it's much lower around the Charlotte area compared to areas south, and we barely have anything on Sunday. So I'm just really trying to prove here is we don't have a lot of the right conditions stacking up. Isolated pop-up showers and thunderstorms pop up in their own fruition. It's kind of the opposite of that. So I think the best chance today is right along the I-40 corridor. Overall, today's going to be a mostly cloudy to an overcast one, seeing some scattered showers and storms. This will push us way further off towards the east, but the main event that we're seeing this weekend is actually tomorrow morning. That's going to be the leftover system from that big red spot that I just showed you. It'll move past the mountains with a slight severe chance. Once it reaches Charlotte right around sunrise, it's breaking up. So you could hear a stray rumble of thunder. It was mainly rain. We get rid of the clouds, and it turns out to be a decent afternoon. More clouds for your Sunday, but still not too bad. Other versions of the futurecast have this lasting a little bit longer. I want to show you this one. This one I actually keep the pieces of this actually less severe by the time it gets to about Charlotte. Check it out. Just seeing some scattered rain through the morning, but again, for the afternoon, things are looking much better. For our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, we're staying on the warmer side of things. We should be around 80 degrees. Well, we're not really below that mark until next Thursday. So we have the mid to the upper 80s most days. Today's the only one that has the shot at reaching that 90-degree point. Then we have a cold front that pushes through on an 82-degree day. Wednesday is our next best chance for a severe storm as well. After that, feeling like spring again in the mid-70s.
All right, Chris, thanks. This morning, CMPD busy investigating a string of overnight shootings, one of them deadly. Authorities found one person dead inside a home on Briar Grove Drive in East Charlotte.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane joins us this morning with the latest from police. Richard.
Yeah, guys, good Friday morning to you. Good Friday morning, everyone. One family on this Friday morning got their worst fears realized when they sent police on a welfare check about their loved one, only to find out that their loved one is the victim of a homicide. This all happened before 9 o'clock Thursday evening. Charlotte-Mecklenburg police officers responding to that welfare check in the 2200 block of Briar Grove Drive. That's just off of Milton Road. This is all in the North Tryon division. When the officers arrived, they found a man, an adult male, as they say, inside the home. He was deceased. The homicide unit was launched an investigation, I should say. They were joined by the crime scene search teams, also collected physical evidence. Medic and Operations Command also responded to assist. Right now, police are urging anyone with information to come forward to help. As you can well imagine, this family is now in pain about the death of their loved one.
So at this point, it's very early on in the investigation, and they're still working through that. The detectives are conducting their interviews and canvassing, and at this point, that's as much as we got. Absolutely. If you have seen anything, heard anything, please, we urge you to call Crime Stoppers or call the TIPS line or even 911, because without the public's help, it makes it difficult for us sometimes to investigate these kinds of crimes.
And again, at this time, police have not released that victim's name, but they do say if anyone has information about this or any other crime for that matter, to please give them a call. We're right here in East Charlotte, guys. We'll send it back to you.
Just to be clear, Richard, because we were confused on our end, in this case specifically, I know there's other cases that happened overnight. In this case, was this person found, had that person been shot, or we just know the person was dead?
We just know that that person is dead. We asked last night Major Ford about his condition to say, was it a homicide or was it something else? And they said, no, we're investigating this as a homicide. We'll get more information about his injuries, hopefully, as well as his identity. It's an adult male. We should get that sometime today, hopefully. And when we get it, of course, we'll pass it along to you.
All right, Richard, thanks so much for clearing that up. Back now to North Charlotte, where police tell us that 3 people were seriously injured after a shooting. It happened around 9:30 last night outside an apartment complex on Greers Grove and Beatty's Ford Road. Medic confirming 3 people were taken to the hospital, 2 with life-threatening injuries. No word yet what led up to that incident. We have reached out to CMPD and will give you an update as we get more information.
We are following breaking news out of Catawba County this morning as police continue their search for a missing teenage girl. Investigators believe 15-year-old Hope Carroll is with Jim Jernigan, a man who's wanted in an armed robbery. Investigators searched a home on Brandywine in that community there in Conover in connection to the case. However, there is no word on how or where the two may be connected and where they could be at this hour. Anybody who knows where they are should contact police immediately.
The presence of immigration enforcement is being felt in neighborhoods across Charlotte, and the recent detainment of a man near a local school is putting more families on edge.
WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre spoke to some local groups about the impact these incidents are having.
Camino has been a safe space for the Latino community for over 25 years. And now with more ICE activity, they're also becoming the source for information, protection, and preparation.
As the daughter of Latino immigrants, I know that there is a lot of fear right now in the Latino community.
This week, an ICE arrest not far from an elementary school in East Charlotte shocked families. A parent was stopped while taking their child to school.
We were able to get a legal observer in the area to document what happened. It was later on that we found out that this was a parent for one of the local local schools.
Sightings have been reported across Charlotte. Groups like Camino are feeling the impact firsthand. Families who would come for checkups, classes, or job help are now changing their routines.
People are afraid to leave their homes. They are afraid to go anywhere that they might not necessarily have super trust in or that they might not know, or especially if someone doesn't speak their language or know their culture.
That's why Camino is encouraging families to come up with a plan, just in case.
Have a conversation, be prepared, have your passports ready, have a plan of action, who to contact, have a WhatsApp group. If you are fortunate enough to have or to know of an attorney or to know of a lawyer, have that lawyer in that WhatsApp group with you. Be ready to activate that plan in case anything were to happen.
The nonprofit is also working to provide resources to help families navigate these tough situations.
We are trying to work with attorneys and lawyers in this area to be a guide and to be a resource for Latinos in this community.
Camino tells me that although they have seen a decrease in some of their services, they have seen an increase in some of their faith-based counseling and mentorship as more families come to pastors and church leaders for support. Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
We now know a little bit more about the applicants for Charlotte's District 6 City Council seat. The city hosted a forum yesterday. The candidates looking to replace Tarek Bakari, who's left for a job in the Trump administration. They range from community activists to former city council members. Also among the applicants is Bakari's wife, Krista. While some say they want to carry on the former councilman's vision, including an emphasis on public safety, others say their focus is on continuing to help the city grow.
I support fiscally responsible policies, public safety, smart development, and affordability.
Look at what we've done, not just with the airport, but all the laws and things that have changed to make our city a better place.
There are 12 total candidates, but at least 2 were ruled ineligible. Whoever gets the seat will hold it for 6 months. Some of the applicants did express that they don't plan to hold the seat beyond that. They're not going to run. Others said they do plan to run for the seat in the fall. Council has a final say on who gets the seat. They'll make that decision next week.
A big day for NASCAR in North Carolina as the All-Stars head to North Wilkesboro. Cup cars will be on track this afternoon for the qualifying races before the action gets underway on Saturday.
This morning, Giselle Thomas joins us from live at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Good morning, Giselle. So tell us, this is the 3rd consecutive year Wilkesboro has hosted the All-Star race. What's the atmosphere there like?
Yes, when I tell you can feel the excitement in the air. Right now this morning you're seeing there's some trailers that have came into here, so a little bit of action. It might seem a little quiet now, but things are really going to pick up later. And from speaking to the Wilkesboro County Chamber of Commerce, we're told that local businesses, even nonprofits, are super excited because they even benefit from this event. Now, some of the most recent data from 2023 tells us that the NASCAR All-Star Race has boosted the state economy by $42 million. It's created over 620 jobs and had nearly 40,000 people in attendance throughout the weekend. I was able to speak to Cindy Thompson, who's Wilkes County's Chamber of Commerce president, who tells me that the preparation and local impact for the NASCAR All-Star Race is felt all throughout the county. She says it brings excitement, pride, and most importantly, visitors.
Hotels and our restaurants, the hotels are filling up. I hear there's only a little bit left, and the Airbnb market is about tapped out. So it's exciting to even just drive down the road. I was crossing Main Street in Wilkesboro yesterday with one of our business owners, and I'm like, do we usually have to wait this long to cross? So no, people are coming in, and we love to host.
And just so you guys know, there's a few cool things that fans will be able to enjoy this year. There's a bridge that actually connects from a parking lot 5 to allow fans to be able to cross right over Highway 421 so they can get right here to the Speedway right in time.
All right, and Giselle, what are some of the events that are planned this weekend?
Yes, so it is a weekend jam-packed. So starting at 8:30 today, people are going to be able to check in and get their credentials. In addition to that, there's going to be some truck races, and then we're kind of getting into, between today and tomorrow, the people who can qualify for the big race on Sunday, which is that All-Star race, 8 p.m. And the best part about it, the winner gets $1 million.
Wow.
Definitely the best part.
Wow, very nice. Of course, for folks who don't realize, beyond just the last 3 years, North Wilkesboro has a proud tradition in NASCAR of hosting events going back years and years and years and years. So a lot of folks excited when this has happened just in the last few years. All right, Giselle Thomas reporting live for us there at North Wilkesboro. Giselle, thanks. Appreciate it.
Great to learn more about that.
And from NASCAR now to golf. Day 2 of the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow kicking off right about now.
Now, the top 3 golfers in the world, they got up to a rocky start. Our sports director, Nick Carbone, has the details on the tournament's new leader.
Tortoise and the hare, the race to a major championship, not always to the swift. Perhaps that is the lesson Quail Hollow will provide us on Sunday. But in round 1 yesterday, just a wet and weird Thursday. Big name morning group has work to do this weekend. The world's top 3 golfers got together, and they did what? Double bogeyed number 16, all 3 of them. Schauffele, Scheffler, and McIlroy. Scheffler, he got himself 2 under par to finish. Xander 1 over. Rory McIlroy 3 over. You might have to get familiar with this leaderboard. Johnny Vegas with his first lead at a major championship, and he leads it by 2 strokes. So Vegas, certainly not the betting favorite, but he leads the championship through 18 holes. Tar Heel Ryan Gerard had a lead for a moment. Shout out to Hickory's JT Poston up there as well. And if this tells you anything about this leaderboard right now, we talked about the top 3 players in the world having a tough Thursday. The top 3 players on the leaderboard through 18 ranked 68th, 70th, and 81st. Round 2 is today. We'll have you covered all day from the course. That'll do it for sports. I'm Nick Carbone.
7:18 right now on WCNC Plus. And this morning, people in Wisconsin waking up to tornado damage. Storm touched down in western Wisconsin yesterday. Thankfully, no injuries reported. Those same storms reportedly produced hail as that front moved through. Meteorologist Chris Mulcahy joins us right now. He says the same system will probably cause more problems for other states today as well.
This time the attention has shifted further to the south, but just shows the extensive damage from that tornado that at least is a minimum EF1 there, probably even approaching EF2 strength just because of the destruction of that one single building. And that's also the nature of tornadoes. They can drop down, they can pick back up, but unless there's damage, we're not going to really know the strength of a specific tornado. I think the biggest thing today is going to be the widespread wind damage that will be associated with this system. Essentially, you saw the same thing there. It was more of a tornado threat north of the system. This was a long-range wind event that's usually known as a derecho. Didn't quite meet the technical criteria, but I think we're going to be pretty close to it. So here's how it all goes down. We have some storms firing up right now, multiple severe thunderstorm warnings associated with this. No tornado tags, but those wind gusts up to about 60 to 7 miles per hour. It's going to be a possibility. Stationary front starts to turn into a cold front and gets going. The main system that we're going to see with this is called a bow echo, where a single cell can start to drive the winds forward within it. And sometimes on the bookends right here, that's where you can have a spin up tornado as well. Sometimes it can turn into an individual supercell. This is the setup, and this is exactly what many states are going to see, especially in the red. More specifically, this black bullseye is tier 4 of 5 or the Storm Prediction Center. Anytime you have these hash lines as well, that's representing a significant threat, especially for widespread wind damage associated with this system. So let's get to it. There's also a chance for strong thunderstorms later on tonight. These Storm Prediction Center outlooks go day by day. There's usually 3 days to go with it, and sometimes they have extended ones for day 4, 5, or 6 if it's a special event. But for the next 3 days, this is just showing that overnight, because it really goes from pretty much around 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. or 2 a.m. to 2 a.m. depending. That's only showing a low chance for severe storm just north of Charlotte, but I think most of that is going to be dying out. Here's what it looks like. We first see a pulse of showers and storms. That is actually going to be racing right along the Tennessee border, and there is a chance that it could start to fade out in our northern viewing area, just north of the I-40 corridor. But it's this line. Look at that mean line. There's that Boeing segment that I'm talking about. Could be some spin-up tornadoes associated with it, but it starts to cross the North Carolina border early in the morning. I would say after midnight. It just depends on how fast it moves. If it's moving at 70 miles per hour, as they oftentimes could, we're talking about a severe weather chance for the North Carolina mountains, and that's why we have that moderate threat for severe storms. But as it gets past the mountains and heads towards Charlotte, it starts to fade, starts to die out. Could hear a rumble of thunder, but most likely this is a rain event really between about 5 to 9 o'clock. Things start to break out. We start to clear this out, and all in all, it looks like we are trending dry for your Saturday. Slightest chance for a pop-up shower or storm on Sunday, but again, we don't really have the things that are winding out. So our good morning forecast looking pretty good. Just holding on to that 70-degree point, but going forward today, 90 degrees. It's hot, it's humid, feeling like the lower to the mid-90s during the afternoon. So stay hydrated, my friends. Upper 80s to the lower 90s is how we're feeling on Saturday. Again, most likely avoiding those storms. The best chance is really further to the east. Sunday through Tuesday, mid to the upper 80s. Our next best chance for rain looks to be a strong cold front, giving us a better severe weather potential on Wednesday afternoon before cooling us back to spring status in the mid-70s on Thursday. Majestic, it's been active for you. How's it looking north of Charlotte?
You know, it has been a tough morning as we've been following very carefully for you a deadly crash. Let's get to that first. I-77 northbound lanes, they are still closed. You can see lots of red still popping up here. This is where the accident actually happened. It's at exit 45, but you can see how far south is extending those backups over 8.5 miles. Expected to stay closed through at least 8 a.m. this morning. We're getting updates from our live cameras. You can see the backup here. This is at mile marker 36. So putting it into perspective, the accident happened at mile marker 45, and we're continuing to see those slowdowns that are really quite significant there. So if you do have to take I-77 northbound, you're going to want to take Highway 21. That's going to be your best alternate route there, and we're seeing medium to fast conditions as people are heading that way. Let's take a look at some of those minor accidents that are still ongoing across the city. We'll start with this one. We do have a crash on Alma Court at Statesville Ave, seeing some medium impacts there. Another one, a crash on Ridge Ave at Highway 160. I want to take you south though, because this one may bring you some issues. Actually, you know what? Looks like it is cleared, so that's some good news for your Friday. Let's head over towards the east just a bit at Raintree Lane. There's a crash on Providence Road. You can see that yellow indicating medium impacts there. We'll have more on your drive times and more on that I-77 northbound closure because of that ongoing deadly accident that happened early this morning.
A lot going on all across the Carolinas this weekend. One big event is the annual Cheerwine Festival in Salisbury, North Carolina, all in honor of the cherry-flavored drink called Cheerwine, which actually started in Salisbury back in 1917. It's a big event. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Don't miss it. It is fun for the entire family. There's great drinks, obviously lots of things made with Cheerwine, and there's activities for the whole family. Music is a big part of it, so don't miss it. This week in Salisbury, North Carolina, the annual Cheerwine Festival, and that's what's happening this weekend. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here on WCNC Plus as we take live pictures over Uptown. The picture's a bit deceiving because it's going to be hot and sunny today, so just get ready. Chris even says, hottest day of the year so far, so get ready for that.
Oof.
Majestic also standing by, tracking a troublesome morning commute for a lot of people who take 77 North. We're going to have details on that, plus the latest headlines coming up at 7:30 right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, good Friday morning to you. We are following a deadly crash that happened just after 2:30 this morning that has closed down parts of I-77 northbound lanes. You can see it here. Lots of backups here. If you typically take this route, I-77, maybe up towards Statesville, you're going to want to take a different way. We're seeing those slowdowns that are extending over 8 miles, expecting this to be closed at least until 8 a.m. this morning. Here's a live look of that backup. This is at I-77 at mile marker 36, and the accident, it happened at mile marker 45, so you can see many people are stuck in that traffic this morning. Again, if you do need to take this route, I-77, I would suggest that you just take Highway 21 there. That's going to be your best alternate route to get around this. We're seeing fast to medium impacts there as far as how fast traffic is able to move, so that's going to be your best bet for now.
And today, 90 degrees, hottest day of the week, hottest day of the year so far. The warmest we've been in 2025, 88. And you're feeling it, too, because it's also going to be a muggy day as well. That muggy meter just spiking right around that 70-degree point, so especially a muggy evening ahead. How you feel as you're working your way through the next few days. Still feeling uncomfortable Friday and Saturday, feeling a little bit better on Sunday, likely avoiding the storm chances for the weekend. Take care.
Streaming live at 7:30 on WCNC Plus. Good morning. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. We continue to follow breaking news that's causing some major impacts for your Friday morning commute. A deadly crash shutting down I-77 North.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is standing by for us this morning. Destiny, what can you tell us and what are you seeing from your vantage point?
Yeah, so right now we're in Troutman. We're still seeing those residual backups from the closure on I-77. We're down here at exit 42. So the cars nearest to us, the vehicles nearest to us are getting off of I-77 at exit 42 because they cannot go any further north. This is at Charlotte Highway, aka US 21 here in Troutman. So folks are having to get off of I-77 north and then go left, that is northbound on Charlotte Highway. And then folks who are coming from the south, they cannot get onto I-77 north from here, so causing a lot of backups in this area. But as we've been reporting, this was an overnight crash where a driver died after traveling southbound in the northbound lanes of I-77. They collided head-on with a tractor trailer. Again, the driver of that Chevy Silverado died, but the driver of the tractor trailer was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. What caused this closure is that the tractor trailer actually caught on fire and overturned in the median. So this cleanup process is what's causing the closed northbound lanes. And we did learn recently that closure that was supposed to end at 8 o'clock this morning has now been extended to just past 11 a.m. So this is going to be a long morning of delays. And of course, Majestic has been keeping an eye on this as well. She has the broader look at how this is going to affect your morning commute.
All right, Destiny, thank you for that update. Let's take a look at our traffic graphics just to put things into perspective a little bit more for your Friday morning commute. Basically, if you take I-77 northbound, there are significant backups here. You can see all of that red, even the purple, just indicating that I-77 is closed. The accident happened at exit 45 early this morning, and the backups are now extending to almost 10 miles. Expected to stay closed now, like Destiny said, until at least 11 a.m. this morning. You can see this is a live traffic map or a live traffic camera. This is I-77 at mile marker 36. Cars are completely stopped there. So again, if you have to head north, I would suggest taking Highway 21. That's going to be your best detour there. And I like to look at the colors here. We're seeing lots of green on Highway 21, which is good, meaning that traffic is being able to move smoothly throughout that area. In addition to that big accident, we do have multiple smaller ones around the uptown area. The first one is a crash on Alma Court at Statesville Ave. Another one I want to highlight here is a crash on Ridge Ave at Highway 160. That's bringing some medium impacts there. We'll have more on those drive times and the latest on the northbound lanes on I-77 being completely shut coming up in just a few minutes. Ben.
But first, we have a high of 90 degrees today. Whew. Usually our first 90 is May 20th. Hey, close enough. And even if we don't hit this, it's still going to feel like the lower to the mid 90s. Across the area, not everyone's going to hit that 90 mark. I think we have 92 in Charlotte. Today isn't going to be completely gloomy cloudy, but we have a lot more clouds. The way it looks across our horizon right now, this is across our Dallas cam, that's the way it's pretty much going to look. So at times you might have some thinner clouds that, hey, you can see where the sun is. That's still enough energy to warm us up to 90 degrees, but a lot of us just in the mid to the upper 80s feeling like it's 90. Check this out. Our hour-by-hour heat index feeling like 90 to 95. I think the 90 to 92 range is a little bit more accurate about how we're feeling, but other things might be hot. In the shade, that's the best spots, the actual air temperature to a little bit cooler, just depending. However, in the grass, it can be as much as 100 degrees. It's at this point, walking barefoot isn't as pleasant as it once was. My poor son, JT, he's 3 years old now, or almost 3. He stepped out onto the concrete. He's like, it's hot. And I was like, I know, man. Welcome to summer. And then once you get onto the brick, that's where it could be 140 degrees and just a 90-degree temperature. So ouch, ouch, ouch. Just reminding you, those are the typical temperatures. And of course, I'm not even going to get started on those metal slides. Those are a nightmare. Our isolated rain chances are here for the weekend. I don't think it's going to rain here around Charlotte for your Friday. Monday and Tuesday, I think a slightly better chance, but scattered rain rain on Wednesday. The big story, you're going to hear it. We showed you over the last half hour some of the storm damage that came from tornadoes in Wisconsin. There's widespread wind damage in Wisconsin over to Michigan. Well, this is going to be a severe weather wind event, also a chance for tornadoes in this big area of red. However, if you look a little bit closer, you do see this insert itself into the Charlotte area, a lingering low threat for your Saturday, and then we have no severe weather threats for your Sunday. So Sunday right now standing as my pick of the week. Let's move forward. Our best chance for rain, if you do see any, for your Friday north of I-40. It's really closer to the Virginia border. This is the leftover of a system that we're looking at right now over in Tennessee and parts of Arkansas. That will be flying off towards the east, but likely just staying cloudy around the Charlotte area. By tomorrow morning, that system that is producing widespread wind damage will move its way into the North Carolina mountains, but it starts to fade. Once you get to around sunrise in Charlotte, I think you could have some rain or at least some darker clouds. That's really between about 5 and 9 are our chances, and then you can see that things kind of clear out. If we do see any storms for your Saturday, I think it's mainly right around here, around Southern Pines, west of Raleigh, and that's also an elevated risk for maybe a supercell as well, where you could have a twist to it and allowing for some larger hail and even a spin-up tornado. Again, that's right outside of our area. I do actually want to backtrack, so I came over to the other computer to show you this. So check it out. It's right here. So that's 5, 6, 7 o'clock. So likely I think that we're going to avoid the storms here in Charlotte. There's the outside chance that maybe we break what's called the cap, but likely right now you might be okay. I think you also have a nice mix of cloud and sunshine. As for your Sunday, there's a slight chance you have a little shower early to mid-afternoon, but nothing major at that point as well. Also, our dew points are going to take a little dip and a little duck dive on Sunday, so feeling a little bit more comfortable. Next Thursday, back in the comfort range, but in the meantime, we have that humid to borderline muggy days. Today looks to be the most humid, feeling the hottest air temperature, and then I think a close second might be Tuesday before another front starts to arrive. Better chance for isolated pop-up storms on Monday and Tuesday. For me personally, because I love the spring-like days because we don't get too many of them going forward, Thursday's my pick of the week. 76 degrees, feeling much more comfortable. Beautiful bats of sunshine, so something to look forward to.
All right, Chris, thanks. 7:37 right now here on WCNC Plus. Right now, President Trump will tour the capital city of Abu Dhabi on his last day in the Middle East. While on his trip, the president pressured Iran on a nuclear deal and resumed talks to end the war in Ukraine. NBC's Alice Barr is following the latest from Washington now.
President Trump wrapping up his Middle East trip this morning with a visit to an interfaith complex housing a mosque, church, and synagogue in the United Arab Emirates. That after the UAE president announced plans to invest $1.4 trillion over 10 years in U.S. industry, including energy and AI.
We will work very hard to deserve it. I have absolutely no doubt that the relationship will only get bigger and better.
It caps a week of deals in 3 wealthy Gulf states alongside diplomacy, pushing Iran to negotiate to abandon its nuclear program.
Iran has sort of agreed to the terms. They're not going to make, I call it in a friendly way, nuclear dust.
While agreeing to lift sanctions on Syria and pressing its president to normalize relations with Israel, all while weighing in on talks underway to end Russia's war on Ukraine.
Nothing's going to happen until Putin and I get together.
President Trump returns to the U.S. today as the Supreme Court begins considering his administration's case on birthright citizenship and the power of federal judges. In oral arguments Thursday, the court's conservative majority appeared open to the administration's argument that a single federal judge in one state should not have the authority to block an executive order nationwide, as has happened nearly 40 times this term, including on the president's effort to end automatic citizenship for children born in the U.S. whose parents are undocumented immigrants. On that critical point, the justices appeared skeptical given the Constitution's guarantee of birthright citizenship. On those high-stakes Iran discussions, President Trump also noted that there's a nice step, the negotiations, and a violent step to get Iran to give up its nuclear weapon ambitions, saying he does not want to go to the second step. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Businesses are feeling the pinch this morning. Walmart says customers can expect to see higher prices on some of its items soon. The company says it's been able to eat a lot of the extra costs caused by President Trump's tariffs, but says price hikes are inevitable at this point. Right now, most items from China are facing a 30% tariff.
Local businesses here in Charlotte have been feeling the pinch as well, but many are now coming together after the female-owned shop Girl Tribe sounded the alarm. In a social media post, the owners say they're struggling. As of this morning, the post has over 10,000 likes and more than 1,000 comments and shares, helping bring some calm to those worried about the future.
Bigger company like Girl Tribe was going through some of the same struggles that we are. Charlotte has so many small businesses, and it was nice to see like everybody come together.
For more information on how small businesses here in Charlotte are working together, head on over to the WCNC mobile app.
This morning, a dramatic transformation is taking place in Ballantyne. This sweeping redevelopment project known as Ballantyne Reimagined, or the Bowl, is coming together after nearly 5 years. The Oro Ballantyne is set to open this October. It will be the tallest residential building in South Charlotte. Restaurants, health, and beauty stores are also beginning to fill the new city center, while residents tell us they are amazed by all the variety that's popping up. Developers say this is only the beginning.
I'm amazed. I've never seen so many people. It's like another city. It's like a little, yeah, it's wild.
You would expect more residential and retail. We do have entitlements for more office space as well.
Looking ahead, developers are also hoping the Link's blue line will be extended into Ballantyne. Now, that's a move that would require a major infrastructure improvement as well as regional coordination. Today is National Ride Your Bike to Work Day, and many Charlotteans are trading in their car keys for bike helmets.
The benefits of biking go far beyond just exercise. WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris now live for us here on WCNC Plus with more on how Charlotte can take part in the effort. Miles.
Yeah, good morning, Lisa and Ben, but you mentioned it, whether you're biking to work, going on an errand. I mean, there are tons of ways to incorporate biking into your routine, and the list of benefits in doing so, I mean, they go so much further beyond just your own health.
That's just an opportunity, I think, for people to, especially if they haven't tried biking to work before, to give it a try.
Shannon Benz with Sustain Charlotte encourages people to try cycling as a healthier, more environmentally friendly commute option.
You're helping reduce traffic congestion, which may not benefit you, while you're on your bike, but it certainly reduces the #1 source of air pollution and climate pollution in Charlotte and North Carolina, which is transportation.
His organization using Friday as a chance to highlight Charlotte's commitment to becoming more bike friendly. Making biking much easier is the addition of greenways.
The infrastructure and the places to ride safely are growing, and that, of course, is critical for people to feel safe, going out and biking around the city and the towns across Mecklenburg County.
Efforts to build safe roadways for every commuter in the Queen City.
The city and the towns are working towards that. They know that it needs to be safer for people to feel comfortable, and that's something that we do a lot of advocacy for at Sustain Charlotte as well.
And while today is marked as Ride Your Bike to Work Day, May is actually National Bike Month. And while Charlotte has made huge strides in embracing biking into our community, Sustain Charlotte says that there is still a ton of work and growth that can be done as well, and continuously embracing biking into our community, and they hope that our community continues to grow with it as well. Ben and Lisa.
I mean, I think about 20 years ago, there were people who would bike to work, and you sort of rolled your eyes at them and be like, okay, whatever.
Right.
But now, I mean, I think to your point, Miles, it's good for you, but also in a city that is just exploding with growth,
yes.
It is almost a necessity for some people, so they don't have to sit in traffic or wait for a train or a bus. Like it's honestly for some people easier.
Yeah, a whole lot easier though too, and in ways, once you figure out those routes and those routines on how to make it happen, and even one of the things that Sustain Charlotte says though too is that if you're kind of, maybe a little skeptical about going, 15, 20 miles to your way, whether it's to work or to errands, that's why they said to kind of start small. Maybe it's just a quick, run to your coffee shop. Maybe you're making a run to the grocery store. Starting small, kind of working your way through, and obviously again, continuously working to expand and really working on adding those bikes to our community. A big plus and a lot of benefits, like you said, Ben.
Not to mention also good for the environment.
That's
All right, Miles Harris, thanks so much for that. South Carolina's Governor Henry McMaster and emergency management officials are reviewing their resources to help folks prepare for storms. They went over several checklists, some of them listing items that residents would need for a potential hurricane. The governor says any storm that hits the state would be a disaster. He says the most important thing is to save lives.
Disaster does not have to have a loss of life with preparation and understanding of what's happening. We lost 49 people in Hurricane Helene.
The Atlantic hurricane season begins June 1st and ends November 30th.
And I want to build on that. So I'm going to focus in on this hurricane season, and it all starts with the boy, and that's the translation for El Nino. So Enzo cycles, which is the El Nino Southern Oscillation, really all just depends on what the water temperatures are off the coast of South America, so south of Central America. But it's right in this zone that you either have above average temperatures or colder temperatures that literally control the flow and what our seasons will do. We're heading into what's called La Nada, and that simply means to kind of split the difference. But for hurricane season, it depends if we're either in El Nino or La Nina. And just recently, we barely visited La Nina, which is usually the worst of it. El Nino actually is less hurricanes. It's only 2023 is the first time that we had an El Nino season that was well above normal. But typically under a La Nina pattern, you have a little bit more hurricanes. We're a little bit close to La Nina. I think we're going kind of split the difference for maybe an elevated season, but a little bit closer to normal. As far as the strongest seasons based on 1950, there's a special tool that we call as ACE. That's accumulated cyclone energy. And as you notice, I made it simple for us. For some of the strongest seasons, 2005, of course, had Katrina, so that was infamous for that one storm alone. That was a La Nina, but it started off as that La Nada, which is simple, the neutral range. You're seeing a lot of Ninas on here and Nadas as far as the strongest seasons go. So yes, we might not have as many storms, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to be stronger. And that's exactly what we're forecasting here. As Lisa just mentioned, the season goes from June 1st to November 30th. It can start earlier than that, and it can also end later than that. September 10th, though, that's the pinnacle. That's the top. Some of our local offices also make a forecast each and every year. Now, North Carolina State recently over the last month was calling that we could see about 12 to 15 storms. That's spot on to what we see for the La Nada cycle. That's about 14 on average, 7 hurricanes and 3 major. Last year, we were slightly above that in the La Nina cycle, and I think that we're going to kind of split the difference. I think like 15 to 18 is going to be a good chance. Now, the highest chances right now, the way the flow is going to go, per Colorado State, which is another great office that does the yearly predictions. But looking at the South Carolina and North Carolina shoreline specifically, we have a 46% chance for a Category 1 hurricane. We stick out in the Atlantic, so it's always a little bit higher than some, so higher chances in North Carolina. And as far as a major hurricane, that's Category 3 or greater, we have around a 10% chance. So it only takes one, that's all it is. But as Master said, it's also really important to realize that even a tropical storm, if it's slow moving enough, that can cause a lot of impacts for a lot of inland flooding that we cannot really disregard. And a named storm that would be a tropical storm chance, we have about a 76% chance, and it's each and every year. Sometimes they're not named in May, that we're going to have some sort of impacts. As far as when you usually expect the most, as I showed you, the peak of hurricane season, the specific date is September 10th. That's usually when we have I names, and that's where I, the 9th letter of the alphabet, is retired the most out of any other one. But it's August, September, and October that we always have to look out for. It doesn't mean that you can't have a strong storm in June or July. It's just usually this threshold that we have things that are really ripping and roaring in the warmest temperatures. Quick look at our 2025 Atlantic hurricane names. As I mentioned, some letters I always look out for. So Imelda, I'm looking at you because that's usually one of the more retired letters. Also, Chantal is going to be another chance that we could have a potential retired storm. Shout out to Becca Bursall. We have Rebecca on the back end of the forecast as well. So maybe your name is on this list, but I'm really hoping that none of these are going to be zeroed out, but each and every year it's usually one that stands out. Sometimes the Category 5 in the middle of the Atlantic, but each and every year it has been a long time since we haven't had one of the stronger storms impact here in the United States. Real quick for our forecast today, it's hot and humid. I think we're avoiding the storms right around 90 degrees. May 20th is usually our first 90-degree day. Temperatures will be on the warmer side going forward. We should be in the 70s, this upper 70s to about 80 degrees this time of year. year. Not the case. We're not visiting the 70s again until about Thursday, so mid to the upper 80s. So get ready for it to be hot, hot, hot through the weekend with an outside chance for a pop-up shower or storm.
All right, let's take a look at our traffic as we're heading into our Friday morning. I-77 does remain closed after a deadly crash and fire this morning. You can see all of the colors popping up on our road maps indicating how far back traffic is delayed. So let's get to this. I want to kind of track this for you. What we know is that those backups, they're extending to almost 10 miles, and we're anticipating that we're going to see those impacts now at least through 11 a.m. So northbound lanes, I-77, now are remaining closed. Here's a live look of what's going on. This is I-77 at mile marker 36 there. So if you have to travel north, I would suggest not taking I-77, but instead take Highway 21. Want to talk about a few of our minor accidents because really that's the big story today in traffic. I-77 northbound lanes being impacted there. We did have an ongoing accident here at Ridge Ave. Looks like that has been cleared, which is some good news for your Friday morning, but this one is still ongoing. It's at Raintree Lane. There's a crash at that spot where it intersects at Providence Road. As far as those drive times go for you for your Friday morning, if you're coming to Charlotte from Matthews, it's going to take you about 24 minutes to get you there. From Waxhaw to Charlotte, almost an hour. So make sure you do plan accordingly as we are heading throughout the day today. Just be mindful that I-77 and northbound lanes do remain closed at this time.
All right, Majestic, thank you for that. This morning, 2 Charlotte women who put out their mammogram for years only to discover cancer are celebrating being cancer-free. Now they are using their good fortune to help other women.
WCNC Charlotte's Michelle Bowden is sharing their message for other women this morning.
Both women battled breast cancer during COVID after both delayed getting screened, and both women saved lives by telling their stories. Now they're hoping to save even more women. It's not easy to go public with something so private.
It's just been surprising to me and overwhelming.
Don't put this to the bottom of your to-do list.
Both Meg Robertson and Amy Highland-Jones delayed getting mammograms.
I was busy and I was working really hard and thinking I have no family history. This is just not going to be what is going to get me. And that was not a smart step to take.
Jones, the head of communications for investment banking at Wells Fargo, finally got one in 2020 and was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer just before the world shut down.
Well, it started with a premonition almost in December of 2019. I just knew something was wrong. I was doing a self-check and I had skipped 3 years of mammograms. And I was 49 and I said, I just know I have to go in and get a screening.
Because the earlier women catch it, the less impact it's going to have on their lives.
Meg Robertson, who works with nonprofits and is an executive coach, delayed her mammogram during COVID like so many others. When she finally did go in, she had cancer in both breasts. Because of our original story with Robertson, at least one woman got checked and found her own cancer.
But when I saw Meg's story, and I was like, okay, it's time for me to go. Oh, I mean, I'm forever grateful to Meg.
The same thing happened after Jones first spoke to us.
A very good friend of mine's sister saw the spot in August of 2020. It prompted her to get a mammogram, and she also discovered cancer.
The American Cancer Society says 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. That number is steadily rising. Breast cancer is the most common cancer for women outside of skin cancer.
I'm doing really well.
Both Robertson and Jones are now celebrating being cancer-free, but both say they're celebrating something else just as important.
Maybe it was worth it. It helped her, so maybe it was worth it. Well, it just makes the not so fun parts of it a little more worthy, I guess.
I think if you can just have one person go in, get that screening, and learn something that's going to change the course of their life, that's why I do this.
The American Cancer Society suggests women over 40 get annual mammograms, even if you don't have a family history. If you're high risk, they suggest starting at the age of 30. That includes women with the BRCA gene mutation. Reporting in Charlotte, Michelle Bowden, WCNC Charlotte. Back to you.
Roughly 1 in 4 Americans give the nation's physical health a failing grade, according to a new survey.
Researchers say personal habits and concerns about the healthcare system have contributed to this shift, with nearly half of all people saying they do not trust pharmaceutical companies to act in their best interests as patients. It comes as nearly 90% of us admit to having at least one or more unhealthy habits. This could range anywhere from smoking to not getting enough exercise.
We won't talk about our unhealthy
That's
habits.
right.
Instead, we're going to take a quick break, but you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We're going to have another check on the weather and traffic. Of course, Majestic watching the latest on that traffic accident that happened, a deadly accident on I-77 north up in Iredell County. She'll have the latest on that. Chris will have your forecast for the day, and then we'll be back with the day's top headlines at 8 o'clock. Stay with us on WCNC Plus.
All right, well, good Friday morning, everyone. We are still watching I-77 northbound. That has been closed for hours now after a deadly crash and fire this morning. You can see that backup there. Lots of red and purple indicating that the backups are still ongoing, extending nearly 10 miles south of where the accident actually took place. And those closures are expected to last at least until 11 o'clock this morning. Here's a live look of the backup. This is I-77 at mile marker 36. This is in Iredell County, so do be mindful. If you do have someplace to be and you typically take I-77, you don't want to do that today. Instead, this is going to be your best bet. Here's that alternate route, just taking Highway 21. Of course, this is the big story today. A fatal crash happening early this morning that continues to bring those big impacts for your Friday morning commute. Chris.
Thanks a lot, Majestic. So plain and simple, today is going to be hot. We have a high right around 90 degrees, feeling like the lower 90s through the afternoon. More clouds and sunshine, and then today and tomorrow will be some of the hottest days we've had so far in 2025. Yesterday, 86. If you thought yesterday was hot and humid, today is worse. Tonight, we are dropping down in the lower 70s, so another mild start. We'll have a chance for some morning rain in the afternoon. Trending to be dry, highs in the upper 80s, mid 80s on Sunday. Guy roofing forecast, you can see that we're still keeping it warm till in the 70s on Thursday. We're live streaming right now on WCNC Plus. We hope to see you over there.
streaming live right now at 8 a.m. right here on WCNC+. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington.
We continue to follow breaking news that's causing some major impacts for your morning commute. A deadly crash shutting down I-77 North.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is standing by for us this morning. Destiny, tell us exactly where you are and what you're seeing from where you are.
Yeah, so we're here on US 21, aka Charlotte Highway in Troutman. This is right after you get off of I-77 northbound at exit 42. Exit 42 takes you right here to US 21. And we're seeing a lot of congestion on US 21 because folks are obviously not able to continue going north on I-77. So we've got folks here who are getting off I-77 and joining the line, but it's causing backups for folks all the way down here just south east of downtown Troutman. So if you're headed up into downtown Troutman, if you're going even further north to Statesville, it's really going to be an issue. We did get some new information from North Carolina DPS as well as Highway Patrol about this crash that is causing this impact this morning. Around 2 this morning, it was a Chevy Silverado that was traveling south in the northbound lanes, and they collided head-on with a tractor trailer, and this caused the tractor trailer to overturn and catch fire. We just learned that the driver of that Silverado was 31-year-old Eric Anthony Pompa. He was wearing a seatbelt but was ejected from the vehicle, and he died at the scene. The driver of the tractor trailer has non-life-threatening injuries. 52-year-old Cecil Ward of Tampa, Florida. He was transported to a hospital in Winston-Salem. Again, just minor injuries. But because of the cleanup and the on-scene investigation that's happening, that's why the road is closed this morning. And by the way, they're saying upon early investigation, they believe that 31-year-old Pompa was impaired during this accident. So while they're working the scene, just know this morning that it's going to be a headache if you're trying to get north on I-77 in Iredell County. I'll go ahead and send it to Majestic Storm. She has a look at your morning commute.
All right, thanks, Destiny. Want to give you some perspective as we're looking at the map now, as we are looking at not only the map, but also a live look. This is I-77 of those backups that are ongoing. This is at mile marker 36.5. So again, many people usually take I-77 northbound for your morning commute. You're not going to want to do that today because those ongoing backups are going to last for quite some time. Let's get straight to this. So we know about the deadly crash and the fire that happened just around 2 a.m. and still those ongoing impacts. You can see how far south is extending right along I-77, now nearing Mooresville. So let's zoom it in because I tracked this. It's now impacting areas south of the accident up to 10 miles. And again, expected to stay closed at least through 11 a.m. this morning. So your best bet will not to take I-77. Instead, this is a route you'll want to take. I've been watching it now for several hours and we're not seeing any major backups. It's going to be Highway 21 there. In addition to that, we do have some accidents right around the Charlotte area. I want to talk about this one. Actually, it looks like it was just cleared as well. So that's some good news for your Friday. Not seeing anything too significant outside of the I-77 northbound accident that's still really bringing those big impacts and backups. So we'll have more on that coming up in just a few.
Thanks a lot, Majestic. It has been an active traffic morning, to say the least. Luckily, the weather hasn't been too bad. You are looking at a lot more clouds this morning than what we had yesterday, but today, all in all, is going to stay dry. I do see a little bit of rain here on the map, but not everyone is impacted by this, so let's get right to it. Here is a little bit of green. This doesn't always mean that rain is hitting the surface. Sometimes this can represent that you just have a darker cloud bottom, but over here, Rowan County, you do have the best chance maybe a sprinkle or a very light rain shower that could be possible on and off, and then boom, look at off towards the west. This is the perfect setup for widespread severe weather. Not a good situation. You're starting off the morning in parts of Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky under a severe thunderstorm watch, and then likely this will change over to a severe thunderstorm watch and even a tornado watch through this part of the country. That's where we're seeing the worst of the weather. And look at these storms that develop. Whenever you have a large scale system like this, it's the squall line that turns into a bow echo. If it travels for the right distance and be deemed as a derecho, that creates wind damage for up to 400 miles. Can be really long across. We're pretty close to that criteria. Whenever you have a moderate that's 4 of 5 threat from the Storm Prediction Center, That's usually what it's indicating, either a tornado outbreak or a chance for this. We saw a lot of storm damage in Wisconsin, which we're going to find out more from that. But check out what's going to happen. These storms start to work their way towards the Tennessee, North Carolina border by about midnight, heading into the early morning hours. And then boom, seeing that rain start to slowly fizzle out. It starts to wind down. And then we see from about 5 to 9 o'clock that poof, it disappears. So it still could be a cloudier start right when the sun is rising up, and then heading into the afternoon, things start to improve. I am indicating a slight chance for maybe some thunderstorms starting around Richmond County for your Saturday, and then there's also a chance for a developing shower during your Sunday afternoon, but it's really hit or miss, a lot of us staying dry. Over the last 3 days, we've been at 79, 80, and 86. Now, we're going to do that. At least 89 to about 90 degrees today. Our lows very mild as well. 72 tomorrow morning. This morning we dropped to about 70, and that is just an upward trajectory for our highs, for our lows, and this is going to be the top for our warmest low and our warmest high going forward. So over the next 18 hours, the big story about today, not just the 90-degree point, because that would be our first 90-degree temperature of the year. It's how we feel. Feeling like the lower to the mid-90s. Yikes. Seeing a little bit of sunshine from time to time, but all in all, that cloud cover I think is going to win out. You could have a lot of those upper-level clouds as well. So getting right to our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, we are anticipating that those temperatures are going to warm up steadily throughout the week. Sorry, a little bit of frozen time, so I apologize to our producer, Trey. We are expecting those temperatures to actually take a little bit of dip once you head into next week. Should be loading up here anytime. Luckily, we have the stream for a little extra. There we go. Temperatures in the mid to the upper 80s into next week. I think the best chance for rain all week long will be on Wednesday, as we have a perfect setup for a humid day, a cold front that could drive up some storms. So keep that as your weather highlighter. And then Thursday, mid 70s. That is going to be a spring-like day, feeling a whole lot more comfortable. A nice break from this heat and humidity. Take care and stay cool.
Chris, thanks. 8:07 right now on WCNC Plus. And this morning, CMPD busy investigating several crime alerts. Authorities found one person dead inside a home on Briar Grove Drive in East Charlotte.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane joins us this morning with the latest details from police. Richard.
Yeah, good morning to you guys. Good morning to our pluses on this Friday morning. Police say they're dealing with the city's latest homicide, all after a family asked them to go check on one of their loved ones. This all happened just before 9 o'clock Thursday evening. Charlotte-Mecklenburg police say they had officers go to a house to respond to a welfare check initiated by the family. That welfare check was in the 2200 block of Briar Grove Drive, which is right off of Milton Road. It's in the North Tryon Division, by the way. When the officers arrived, they found one man inside the house. He was dead. They say they launched a homicide investigation. That was homicide investigation was joined by crime scene search teams who collected physical evidence. Medic and Operations Command also responded to assist. But right now the police aren't releasing that person's name, the victim's name, but they are asking if anyone has information about what may have happened to that man to give them a call. Take a listen.
So at this point, it's very early on in the investigation, and they're still working through that. The detectives are conducting their interviews and canvassing, and at this point, that's as much as we got. Absolutely. If you have seen anything, heard anything, please, we urge you to call Crime Stoppers or call the TIPS line or even 911, because without the public's help, it makes it difficult for us sometimes to investigate these kinds of crimes.
And it's also important to note that whenever the public gets involved and provides information for police, a lot of times it helps them solve this information. But as you heard police say, they've been talking to a number of people, including family members, trying to figure out exactly what may have happened to that man. Or when we get that information, including his name, we'll pass it along. We're right here in East Charlotte. Richard Devane. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
And again, just for clarification, they have not said how this person died, just they found him dead.
That's correct.
All right. Thank you, Richard. Another crime alert in North Charlotte, where police tell us that 3 people were seriously injured after a shooting. It happened around 9:30 last night outside an apartment complex on Greers Grove and Beatty's Ford Road. Medic confirming 3 people taken to the hospital, 2 with life-threatening injuries. No word yet on what led to that incident. We've reached out to CMPD. We will update you as we get more information. In Union County, there is a new support system for families impacted by gun violence. Last night, the homicide victim Victims Support Group met for the first time at the Indian Trail Town Hall. Families were able to not only connect, but get guidance about the legal system. WCNC Charlotte's Siobhan Riley reports.
Families who attended the Homicide Victims Support Group here at Indian Trail Town Hall said they are relieved to have something like this. For so long, they had to travel to other cities just to navigate through the grieving process.
He was 18 years old.
In a packed room, family members didn't hold back tears.
You're in the right place.
Mothers, fathers, and friends were asked to share the names of their loved ones who lost their lives to gun violence.
This is a cooperative venture with Ms. Tina Sykes-Mosley, who I did not know until fairly recent.
The Union County District Attorney's Office partnered with Tina Sykes-Mosley's nonprofit called Marcus, an organization she started in memory of her son Marcus Mosley, who was murdered in 2020 in Burlington.
Prior to us establishing this right here, I had to go into Charlotte, Mecklenburg, or either up to Raleigh, you understand? So as a grieving mother, it's so difficult to even get the strength to get out the bed.
Union County District Attorney Trey Robinson was on hand to answer questions about the legal process.
When a person is convicted of a crime right here and now today, the court looks backward at all the previous convictions.
Family members also had a chance to reflect on the current climate, like the number of teenagers committing violent crimes and not being tried as adults.
But for the family of the victim, it's just like a double slap in the face.
It's offensive.
Yeah.
A common question people had for the DA, why does it take so long to set a trial date for the suspects charged with murder?
There's no denying it. Cases are taking longer and longer to be disposed. There are a lot of reasons for that. The main reason would be there are not enough court resources, not enough prosecution resources to move the cases any faster.
Mosley will face the 5 suspects accused of her son's murder in court 5 separate times. The first trial date is set for September.
And it's going to go into 6 years because we have 5 different trials. And so right now there's only 1 trial on the books.
While Mosley waits to get justice for her son Marcus, she will keep using her nonprofit to help provide healing for countless families in need of support.
And your mother will not stop until we get full justice. I'm fighting for you, son, all the way until the very end.
In Union County, Siobhan Riley, WCNC Charlotte.
Right now in Catawba County, police continue their search for a missing teenage girl. Investigators believe 15-year-old Hope Carroll is with Jim Jernigan, a man who is now wanted on armed robbery charges. Investigators searched a home in the Brandywine community in Conover in connection to the case. However, there's no word on where the two could be at this hour. If you know anything, please call police. We now know a little bit more about the applicants for Charlotte's 6th District City Council seat. The city hosted a forum yesterday. The candidates looking to replace Tarek Bakari, who left for a job in the Trump administration. They range from community activists to former city council members, even Bakari's wife, Krista. And while some say they want to carry on Bakari's vision, emphasizing public safety, others say their focus is on helping the city grow.
I support fiscally responsible policies, public safety, smart development, and affordability.
Look at what we've done, not just with the airport, but all the laws and things that have changed to make our city a better place.
There are 12 candidates total, but at least 2 of them were ruled ineligible. Whoever gets the seat will hold it for 6 months. Some of those applicants say they don't want it any longer than that. They just want to be a seat filler for the next few months. Others say, nope, they are ready to run for the seat in the fall. Council will have a final say on who gets the seat temporarily in the next week. Happening today, round 2 of the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. Golfers already out on the greens.
But the top 3 golfers in the world got off to a rocky start yesterday. Our sports director Nick Carboni has the details on the tournament's new leader.
Tortoise and the hare, the race to a major championship, not always to the swift. Perhaps that is the lesson Quail Hollow will provide us on Sunday. But in round 1 yesterday, just a wet and weird Thursday. Big name morning group has work to do this weekend. The world's top 3 golfers got together and they did what? Double bogeyed number 16, all 3 of them. Schauffele, Scheffler, and McIlroy. Scheffler, he got himself 2 under par to finish. Xander 1 over. Rory McIlroy 3 over. You might have to get familiar with this leaderboard. Johnny Vegas with his first lead at a major championship, and he leads it by 2 strokes. So Vegas, certainly not the betting favorite, but he leads the championship through 18 holes. Tar Heel Ryan Gerard had a lead for a moment. Shout out to Hickory's JT Poston up there as well. And if this tells you anything about this leaderboard right now, we talked about the top 3 players in the world having a tough Thursday. The top 3 players on the leaderboard through 18 ranked 68th, 70th, and 81st. Round 2 is today. We'll have you covered all day from the course. That'll do it for sports. I'm Nick Carboni.
Nick, thanks. 8:15 right now, live on WCNC Plus. And this morning, folks in Wisconsin waking up to tornado damage. The storm touched down in the western part of the state yesterday. Thankfully, nobody hurt. Those same storms, though, reportedly produced hail as that front moved through. Chris joins us once again to tell us that same system is going to cause problems for more states as well, while we juggle sort of our first 90-degree day.
Yeah, and all that is really associated with this system. And I wanted to bring up a quick radar loop. Check this out. This is what we've seen over the last 24 hours. A quick moving line of storms, and oftentimes the line of storms can have embedded supercells, and you can have some spin-up tornadoes as well. But a tremendous amount of hail shows that these were just a line of supercells. These are rotating thunderstorms, and a supercell 100% of the time will produce some sort of hail. Now, this isn't just hail. All those reports that you see here looping through Wisconsin, that was representing a hailstone at least penny size or greater. That you don't really have too many other reports outside of that. Also, a lot of damaging winds across a widespread wind system that worked its way into Wisconsin and Michigan. This is just an absolutely staggering system, and we're going to have a very similar setup down towards the south. It's actually going to be a little bit worse. Through this area, we're already seeing signs of it. Multiple severe thunderstorm warnings, and that's why we have a severe thunderstorm watch that will be in effect for the next 3 hours. Then we have the main event that's behind this. What you're looking at on your screen isn't even event numero uno. After that, you're going to have a much broader, widespread system, even a chance of a derecho. And a derecho is a long-lived wind event that essentially is just a really big bow echo. This happens all the time. So a bow echo starts as a single thunderstorm, spreads into multiple thunderstorms. What happens is such strong winds drive the center of it forward. And at that point, you start to have this little bowing segment, and the bookends of this sometimes can have some rotation as they start to bend back. See that one direction, the other way? That actually has a rotating cell, and that's exactly what we saw over in Wisconsin. That can lead to some of the worst hail and tornado damage that can come across with this system. So it's called the bookends of a bow echo. So that's the case and scenario, and why we have that big black circle on the screen. Any of these lines, these are significant severe threats, mainly for damaging wind, just because this is a long duration wind event, but there's also a chance for tornadoes that are in there. This is a serious weather event. Everything's coming together. You have the front. You have some of the most unstable air that I've seen on a map, and it could actually work its way into our region. Now, the good news is it'll be here at the most stable part of the day. Before the sun rises, that's usually where it's the most stable because it's the coolest. You can still have storms that last at that point. We've had active severe thunderstorm warnings through that stretch I was just showing you for now 7 hours now. But it's the North Carolina mountains that have the best chance for this storm to hold together. The faster it moves, the more likely we're going to have thunderstorms, even severe thunderstorms, here in the western Carolinas. Here's what it looks like. You see the first line of storms race along the Tennessee-Kentucky border through the course of this morning, heading into the afternoon. Pieces of that are actually going to arrive in the afternoon here in the Carolinas. So it shows that they're moving at about 60 to 70 miles per hour. So anyone north of I-40 will have a chance for rain as pieces of that system arrive. It's this big bowing segment. Look at that. You can already see the little kinks. There's that bookend that I was talking about. So you could have a tornado right in there that could last for miles. You also have long range winds that continue through Kentucky down into Tennessee. And then you also have the backside of this that'll have individual cells as well. So this looks to arrive right along the Tennessee-North Carolina border anytime between about midnight and 3 a.m. It just depends, again, how fast it's going to move, if anything's going to break it up. But this is going to give us our next best rain chance. So it could be a wet start to tomorrow. If you're going to see rain, likely it's going to be in the morning. This morning we had a little bit of rain. Tomorrow morning you could have a little bit of rain. And then Sunday morning, you know what I'm going to say, a little bit of rain. Our afternoon thunderstorm chances not as likely comparing to what we're seing here. between about 5 and 9. I think that's the best chance that we're going to see rain around the Charlotte area. This starts to break up, so this could start to clear things out pretty nicely. Say if you're having a pool day, you might have a mix of cloud and sunshine, but storms should stay off towards the east. Better chance actually for a pop-up shower or storm on Sunday, even though it's a little bit more stable. Your Monday and Tuesday, mid to the upper 80s. It's next Wednesday. That's where it's our turn. I think that's our best chance for a severe storm across the Charlotte area and the Carolinas in general. That will eventually drag in some cooler and more comfortable air on Thursday. So stay cool, everybody. Now we have to get to our morning commute with Majestic. Been quite active.
It has. It's been a busy Friday morning commute and a sad one as well, as we've been keeping a close eye on I-77 because there was a deadly crash early this morning. Still seeing those ongoing backups that'll last up until at least 11 a.m. So if you typically take I-77 northbound, you're not going to want to do that today after a deadly crash and a fire actually happened around 2 a.m. this morning, and we're still continuing to see lots of red pop up on my live traffic map. As we're tracking those backups, though, it's indicating that those backups are about 10 miles south of where that accident actually happened. So if you have to travel I-77, you're going to want to not take I-77 north, and instead I would suggest taking Highway 21. So we're actually seeing some of those slowdowns all the way down towards Mooresville. As we're looking at our live traffic map again, there is another accident that I want to let you know about. It's right here. We're actually seeing some backups there. It's an accident on Harris Boulevard at Allister Drive, and we're seeing 2 left-hand lanes that are closed. Stop and go and slow traffic across this area.
A lot going on all across the Carolinas this weekend. One big event is the annual Cheerwine Festival in Salisbury, North Carolina, all in honor of the cherry-flavored drink called Cheerwine, which actually started in Salisbury back in 1917. It's a big event. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Don't miss it. It is fun for the entire family. There's great drinks, obviously lots of things made with Cheerwine, and there's activities for the whole family. Music is a big part of it, so don't miss it. This week in Salisbury, North Carolina, the annual Cheerwine Festival, and that's what's happening this weekend. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
All right, Sprinkle, thanks. Starbucks baristas across the country protesting the company's new dress code. According to the union, the strike has grown to more than 2,000 workers. You might be wondering, so what is this dress code? Well, it was implemented Monday, and it requires workers to wear a solid black shirt and then on top of that, khaki, black, or blue denim bottoms. The company says the change is meant to create a sense of familiarity and more welcoming feeling for customers. The union that represents workers say the dress code should be subject to collective bargaining rules.
Interesting. Today is National Pizza Party Day. It is celebrated every third Friday in May. Pizza is known as one of America's favorite foods, and it goes perfect with the party. Here at WCNC, we went around asking what kind of pizza everyone would love to see at the party and the kind that you would never touch. I think I'm first. Favorite? Okay, that's a lot of spinach, but I like spinach and mushrooms on my pizza. The one I would never eat, anchovies.
I think we've decided that this is AI pizza because those anchovies are the biggest anchovies I've ever seen in my life.
Those are huge.
That's
mackerels.
Ginormous.
Yeah. So I agree on the anchovies, whether they're large or small. But I would say my favorite would be just plain pepperoni.
I'm going to Ben's Pizza Party.
Nothing too exciting.
It's okay to be a little basic sometimes.
I was going to say, I feel like I'm really basic, but that's all right.
All right, Chris.
If I had my choice, it would be honestly just cheese. But if I'm feeling creative, there's some big pepperonis.
Right?
Wow, where are they getting these?
Juicy.
Yeah, I've actually been really into banana peppers. So anytime you have banana pepper and pepperoni, it's an awesome combination. But ooh, look at all those olives. Olives just ruin things. When they touch them, you can't just pick them off because they leave the olive stain.
I like the olive AI pizza. The olives are just set on top.
Yeah.
Right.
They're not baked in or anything like that.
Just perfectly on top.
Perfectly lined.
I like that.
All right, Majestic.
All right, I like a little bit of everything, but I love an all meats pizza. But I was gonna add in, I love jalapenos on my pizza as well. That kind of reminded me with your banana peppers, Chris.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
one thing that I think is like kind of odd, not that I wouldn't eat it, but dessert pizzas, like the pizzas where it's like banana and some type of filling on it, or chocolate and whatever. Like, sure, maybe, but if I'm eating pizza, I want it to be like
You're taking a firm stand that pizza should be savory and not sweet.
Yeah.
Really? I do a chocolate pizza.
There are so many better desserts than.
I think so too. Like if
this is true.
I think if I'm eating dessert, not going to be pizza.
Yeah.
That's true.
I would eat it though.
A dessert pizza is kind of almost more pie-ish anyways.
Yeah.
Just the hot take. I know.
Ooh, that's a hot one. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break as we take a live look right now over Uptown. Get ready. It's going to be a hot one. First 90-degree day of the year. Chris is expecting we'll have that plus another check of some problems out on the roadways we've been following for hours now here. That and more coming your way right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, good Friday morning to you. If you are taking I-77 northbound, we have been tracking for hours a deadly crash that is still bringing some major backups here. We had reports of a deadly crash and a fire that happened right around 2 o'clock this morning, and those ongoing backups will continue through at least 11 a.m. today. They're extending about 10 miles south of where that actual accident did happen in Troutman, and you can see a live look outside. This is I-77 as cars are actually stopped or just moving very slowly. If you have to head north, I would suggest not taking I-77. The best route would be this right here. This is Highway 21, just off to the west side of that, and I'm actually seeing some pretty nice moving conditions there. It's not too congested at this point. We do have some accidents I want to let you know about, and in addition to that I-77 closure, this one is impacting many people's morning commute. It is an accident on Harris Boulevard and Allister Drive. Two of the lanes are closed or blocked at this point, so that is just making for a slow morning commute. Chris, what?
90 degrees, Majestic. Could be our first one of the year, but honestly, even if it's 89 and we missed that 90 mark, one, we're closer to a record than where we should be, and two, it's still going to feel like the lower 90s. I think you feel really about 90 to 92 overall, as hot as 95 through the day. As for rain chances, it's mainly just north of I-40. A better chance for rain tomorrow morning, even a chance for a thunderstorm. Stay safe, stay cool.
live on WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Lisa Washington. We continue to follow that breaking news causing some major impacts for your morning commute. A deadly crash shutting down I-77 North in Iredell County. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is standing by for us this morning. Destiny, what's it looking like now? Has it gotten any better since you've been there?
It has not. We're still seeing a very congested US 21 here in Troutman as folks are getting off of I-77 northbound here at exit 42 and getting onto US 21, which is Charlotte Highway, and then it turns into Main Street as you get closer to downtown Troutman. But it is just very much congested because of this overnight crash. You can see that the northbound on-ramp is closed. There's some signs there that say road closed, but we have a lot of people getting off of the highway. And we do have some information about this crash that happened at 2 o'clock this morning. Basically, an impaired driver going the wrong way, going south on the northbound lanes of I-77. This was 31-year-old Eric Anthony Pompa of Layton, Utah. He was traveling southbound and collided head-on with a tractor trailer. This caused a tractor trailer to overturn and catch fire, so a very fiery, deadly scene here. And we do know that he was ejected from the vehicle and succumbed to his injuries. He was wearing a seatbelt, but impaired driving in this situation. And the driver of the tractor trailer was transported to the hospital, 52-year-old Cecil Ward. He was taken to a hospital in Winston-Salem for non-life-threatening injuries. And right now, because this was such a violent crash, the cleanup and the investigation is leading this section of I-77 northbound to be closed for several hours, now extending from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. So you'll still be dealing with the issues this morning throughout your morning commute. But I would definitely say US 21 is congested, but just in this area, once you get past I-77, you should be good. But I'll send it over to Majestic, who has a wider look at the impact of this crash.
Thanks for those updates, Destiny. Let's take a look at some of our traffic maps, and I want to start with this. This is actually a live look of that backup. This is I-77 at mile marker 36. So you can see traffic is either moving very, very slowly or is completely stopped. We're seeing those backups that extend 10 miles south of where that accident did happen. And again, we are expecting to have those road closures stay in place through at least 11 a.m. this morning. So if you do have to head north, I highly suggest not taking I-77, but instead, this is going to be the best route for you. It's Highway 21 there that Destiny was mentioning. I did see a little red at the beginning of it where people are actually getting onto Highway 21, but through most of our route there, we're seeing green, indicating that traffic is flowing smoothly once people are picking up some speed and heading that direction. In addition to that, this is the one ongoing, more impactful accident across the uptown area. This is at Harris Boulevard and north at Allister Drive. That's where we do have a lot of yellow popping up, indicating that we do have medium impacts there. It's an accident and 2 of the left-hand lanes are closed, so it's going to be slow moving if you have to head that way.
Thanks a lot, Majestic. 90. Are we going to do it? Well, close enough, honestly. 90 degrees. That's what we're calling for today. Hot, humid weather. That's the bottom line. So even though if something happens, because we have a lot of clouds today, so this is going to be tough. Yesterday, we hit 86 with majority sunshine. I still think we have a lot of upper level clouds where you could physically kind of see where the sun is. Those are known as cirrocumulus clouds. This is still going to allow us to warm up pretty nicely because a lot of the solar radiation still hits the surface, and we'll see some bright spots from place to place. 90 degrees. What you see in the background, that's kind of majority of today. That's not really gloom or doom. 93 for you in Charlotte. Much cooler in the mountains because I think you have thicker clouds that don't allow as much sunshine to the surface, plus you're at a higher elevation and you have a better chance for rain. So the first 90-degree day typically happens in rain on May 20th. The last time we did it in May was actually in 2022, and it's going to feel a whole lot warmer than that, feeling like the lower to the mid-90s. I think realistically the 90-92 range is going to be most of the real feel peaks for this afternoon. And taking a look across the board, since 1878 when Charlotte record keeping began, most of the first 90s have happened during the month of May. Number 2 is June, and it's very rare to get it in March, and We've only done it, I think, twice during the month of July. So luckily, we're not going to be doing that anytime soon. Our surface temperature is what it feels like, and it depends where you are. In the shade, it can actually be up to 5 degrees cooler than the air temperature. The sun and the grass can be up to 10 to 15 degrees cooler. And I always say this, whenever you're in direct sunshine, and luckily the clouds are going to temper this a little bit, you feel up to 10 degrees cooler. So you always have to factor that in. Concrete 130, brick about 140 to 145. Ooh, and also you can't forget about the blacktop, about 145 to 150. And I mentioned these type of things. Once you get to the summertime, it's pretty much 90 each and every day, so it's obvious. But it's these days that kind of sneak up on you because we haven't been this hot in a while. Also, it's super humid, so don't overexert yourself. If you're starting to feel fatigue, just listen to what your body's telling you. Likely staying dry around Charlotte today. Outside chance for rain during the afternoon on Saturday and Sunday, but all in all, PGA fans and the golfers are looking at a much better forecast than what we started off the week with. Still keeping an isolated chance for Saturday through Tuesday. If I were to pick a day that you absolutely need the umbrella, I think it's going to be Wednesday. And once we get into next week, we'll be monitoring a severe weather potential. Wouldn't be surprised if already by Monday we're under a low threat for severe storms. Meanwhile, you have a high to borderline extreme chance for significant weather through this parts in the United States. This could be bad. Widespread severe storms possible. We have thunderstorms, a line of them that could track for miles. So that's widespread wind damage. And that also is a chance for tornadoes embedded in that as well, especially on the northern edge of that red. And then by tomorrow morning, we will have a chance that this system left over from that area of red moves into the Carolinas. And we all have a low chance for severe storms, not so much by Sunday. Here's also a look at that storm fuel. Whenever it starts to get into the white, poof, and that's what we have off towards the west. If we had a front, say a cold front was going to arrive in the middle of today, this would be a big time severe weather threat for us. But we don't have the driving mechanism that we've had most of the week. That energy is also highest south both days. This weekend, that really helps out our pop-up shower and thunderstorm potential. So quick look at our future cast. Best chance for rain north of I-40. So if you're watching from Hickory to Statesville, any areas north, you will have a chance of rain really anywhere between about 2 and 8 o'clock today. And it could be a thunderstorm. Wouldn't be surprised outside chance, maybe a strong thunderstorm. Want you to be advised. Through the overnight, widespread rain moves into the area, likely starting to dissipate as it rides down the mountains. Best chance for rain is really about 5 to 9 for the Charlotte area, and then we could have a pop-up shower or thunderstorm mainly east of our area, a little bit closer to Raleigh. Coming up, I'm going to talk a little bit more about our hurricane outlook. We're not looking at anything in the Atlantic as of yet. I'll also have our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast.
All right, Chris, thanks so much. President Trump touring Abu Dhabi, the capital city of the United Arab Emirates, on his last day in the Middle East. While on the trip, the president pressured Iran on a nuclear deal and resumed talks to end the war in Ukraine. NBC's Alice Barr is following the latest from Washington.
President Trump wrapping up his Middle East trip this morning with a visit to an interfaith complex housing a mosque, church, and synagogue in the United Arab Emirates. That after the UAE president announced plans to invest $1.4 trillion over 10 years in U.S. industry, including energy and AI.
We will work very hard to deserve it. I have absolutely no doubt that the relationship will only get bigger and better.
It caps a week of deals in 3 wealthy Gulf states alongside diplomacy, pushing Iran to negotiate to abandon its nuclear program.
Iran has sort of agreed to the terms. They're not going to make, I call it in a friendly way, nuclear dust.
While agreeing to lift sanctions on Syria and pressing its president to normalize relations with Israel, all while weighing in on talks underway to end Russia's war on Ukraine.
Nothing's going to happen until Putin and I get together.
President Trump returns to the U.S. today as the Supreme Court begins considering his administration's case on birthright citizenship and the power of federal judges. In oral arguments Thursday, the court's conservative majority appeared open to the administration's argument that a single federal judge in one state should not have the authority to block an executive order nationwide, as has happened nearly 40 times this term, including on the president's effort to end automatic citizenship for children born in the U.S. whose parents are undocumented immigrants. On that critical point, the justices appeared skeptical given the Constitution's guarantee of birthright citizenship. On those high-stakes Iran discussions, President Trump also noted that there's a nice step, the negotiations, and a violent step to get Iran to give up its nuclear weapon ambitions, saying he does not want to go to the second step. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
This morning, businesses are feeling the pinch. Walmart says customers can expect to see higher prices on some of its items soon. The company says it's been able to eat a lot of the extra costs caused by President Trump's tariffs, but says price hikes are inevitable at this point. Right now, most items from China are facing a 30% tariff. Local businesses here in Charlotte have been feeling the pinch as well. Many are now coming together after the female-owned shop Girl Tribe sounded the alarm. In a social media post, the owners say they are struggling. As of this morning, that post has more than 10,000 likes and more than 1,000 comments and shares, helping bring some calm to those worried about the future.
Bigger company like Girl Tribe is going through some of the same struggles that we are. Charlotte has so many small businesses, and it was nice to see like everybody come together.
For more information on how small businesses here in Charlotte are working together, head to the WCNC mobile app. This morning, a dramatic transformation taking place in Ballantyne. This sweeping redevelopment project known as Ballantyne Reimagined, or the Bowl, is coming together after nearly 5 years. The Oro Ballantyne, you see it there, is set to open this October. It will be the tallest residential building in South Charlotte. Restaurants, health and beauty stores are also beginning to fill the new city center. While residents tell us they are amazed by all the variety that's popping up, developers say this is only the beginning.
I'm amazed. I've never seen so many people. It's like another city. It's like a little, yeah, it's wild.
You would expect more residential and retail. We do have entitlements for more office space as well.
Looking ahead, developers are also hoping the Lynx Blue Line light rail will be extended into Ballantyne. It's a move that would require major infrastructure improvements and regional coordination. Today is National Ride Your Bike to Work Day. Many Charlotteans trading in their car keys for bike helmets. The benefits of biking go far beyond just exercise. Miles Harris joins us live this morning with how Charlotte can take part in the effort. Miles.
Hey, good morning, Lisa. And you mentioned it, whether you're biking to work, going on an errand. I mean, there are tons of ways to incorporate biking into your routine. And when it comes to the list of benefits, I mean, they go further and far beyond just your own health.
That's just an opportunity, I think, for people to, especially if they haven't tried biking to work before, to give it a try.
Shannon Benz with Sustain Charlotte encourages people to try cycling as a healthier, more environmentally friendly commute option.
You're helping reduce traffic congestion, which may not benefit you, while you're on your bike, but it certainly reduces the #1 source of air pollution and climate pollution in Charlotte and North Carolina, which is transportation.
His organization using Friday as a chance to highlight Charlotte's commitment to becoming more bike friendly. Making biking much easier is the addition of greenways.
The infrastructure and the places to ride safely are growing, and that, of course, is critical for people to feel safe, going out and biking around the city and the towns across Mecklenburg County.
Efforts to build safe roadways for every commuter in the Queen City.
The city and the towns are working towards that. They know that it needs to be safer for people to feel comfortable, and that's something that we do a lot of advocacy for at Sustain Charlotte as well.
Lisa, now while today is marked as Ride Your Bike to Work Day, May is actually National Bike Month. Now we know that Charlotte has made a lot of efforts and strides in making sure to really incorporate and really try to evolve when it comes to the biking community here in Charlotte, but Sustain Charlotte says that there is still a ton of work and growth that can be done, and they hope that the community here in Charlotte can actually grow with those efforts as well. Lisa.
And you're right, Miles. I mean, the person you spoke with said it best. People want to feel safe. Recreationally, I love riding a bicycle. So much fun and great exercise. To do it, to go to work, to the grocery store, to pick up some coffee. I don't know. Do you bike?
Oh, I bike. I bike a lot, actually. So I've even made it from North Carolina to South Carolina in biking, though, too. But what is really amusing and really amazing to really see in the Charlotte community and really throughout parts of North Carolina is the amount of accessibilities when it comes to using things like greenways and how easy it is to kind of go from point A to point B. And so one of the things that Shannon Benz also mentioned as well is if you know, hey, maybe you're a little feeling overwhelmed when it comes to the routes and trying to go maybe from work to home, maybe try to shorten that route, maybe try to go into those coffee runs, try to make those smaller errand runs, try to work your way up, work your confidence up, working that comfortability when it comes to that safety, and knowing that there are a lot of accessible ways in doing that in this community, and really, it's only going to grow from here.
That's a good tip. Start small to build your confidence. All right, Miles, thanks for that report. 8:45 now, time for us to connect the dots. When we make the news make sense. Soaring temperatures, rising bills, and a shortage of cool relief air conditioning is about to get a lot more expensive this summer.
If you need a new AC, prepare to pay more. Let's connect the dots. Contractors say costs have climbed 80% since the pandemic, with new tariffs, labor shortages, and pricier materials all piling on. A shortage of eco-friendly refrigerant has driven up prices even more. Most air conditioners use imported parts, and new tariffs on goods from China and Mexico are raising costs across the board. Some components that were $1,000 last March could hit $1,400 by September. All this comes as forecasters warn of a hotter than average summer, with electricity bills expected to hit a 12-year high. With supply chains strained and some manufacturers struggling to keep up, delays and fewer choices are the new normal. Contractors are stockpiling what they can, but supplies are already running low. If your AC breaks, expect to pay more and wait longer. And that's connecting the dots.
South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster and emergency management officials are reviewing their resources to help folks prepare for storms. They went over several checklists, including listing out items that residents would need for a potential hurricane. The governor says any storm that hits the state would be a disaster, but he says the most important thing is to save lives.
Disaster does not have to have a loss of life with preparation and understanding of what's happening. We lost 49 people in Hurricane Helene.
The Atlantic hurricane season begins June 1st. It ends November 30th. All right, let's toss it over to Chris now because I know you have more on this.
Oh, I sure do. Let's start with NC State. So each and every year, the National Hurricane Center, NC State, and Colorado State are the big three that we look to for their hurricane predictions. And of course, we do our own here at WCNC. We actually have a hurricane special that will air the first week of June, right when the season begins. But NC State calling for 12 to 15 named storms. So that's tropical storm that will be using the name list, 6 to 8 hurricanes, and 2 to 3 major hurricanes. If you look at the yellow numbers, the average, we typically have 14 named, 7 hurricanes, and 3 major, which, by the way, a major hurricane is category 3 or greater. Last year, we had 18, 11, and 5. So it was a slightly above average season. And we'll get to the reason why here in a second. But then looking at Colorado State, they actually are a little bit more specific, calling for 17, 9, and 4. And the NA, well, the National Hurricane Center officially is doing theirs May 22nd next week. So we're going to see where these all line up. The reason why these are a little bit closer to average to slightly above is because of one thing. It's called the boy, El Nino. It's also Nada and La Nina are the other parts of what's called the ENSO phases. And the ENSO stands for the El Nino Southern Oscillation, where literally it just depends on what the temperatures are right here in the Pacific west of South America. And that controls our climate. Whenever you're in La Nada, that's the neutral zone, pretty much temperatures where they should be in that part of the ocean. That doesn't really control our hurricane season as much, but sometimes the transition from one to another can. We're actually right around La Nada, and we're transitioning from La Nina. Well, here's the deal. The 2005 season where Katrina happened, it was a similar setup. So it doesn't mean that we're completely out of the woods. It actually means that they were kind of in a better situation for not as many storms, but some stronger ones. So during El Nino, it's actually better. It can lead to more widespread rains depending where you are. It's not so good for the Pacific. But whenever you have a La Nina pattern, and we just had one for last hurricane season, it was a weaker one, this actually allows for more hurricanes because less wind shear. It's going to be cutting everything up. Let's talk a little bit more about this. So I went through all of the top hurricane seasons since 1950 and based them on what's called ACE. This is how we judge how strong a hurricane season is by the number of storms and how strong they got. So the highest one that we've ever had, where the average ACE is about 122, which stands for accumulated cyclone energy, that was in 2005. That had all the big ones, had 5 category 5 hurricanes, excuse me. But notice how a lot of the strongest seasons are all La Nina. But number 2 is La Nada. So still shows we're in that in-between cycle. I think we have a medium to above average season, but it's just not as vast as what it could be. Now, as Lisa said, the season officially starts on June 1st, going until November 30th, and spikes right around September 10th. Looking at CSU, they also give you a specific map showing that we have a more than likely chance that we're going to have at least a named storm here in the Carolinas, because they're also forecasting the way that the La Nina into La Nada can deter different paths and the way the Bermuda High is going to be setting up. It's a good chance I think we're going to have at least a tropical storm, but for a major hurricane, it's only about a 9 to 10% chance. So keep that in mind. As far as tropical season, it's really August, September, October that we have the worst impacts. When we cut in for the NBC show, I'll show you that Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. In the meantime, we'll get to Majestic telling you an update on our morning commute.
All right, well, good Friday morning to you. Still keeping a close eye on I-77. Those northbound lanes have been really closed in Iredell County all morning long because of a fatal accident. Let's get to it. I'm going to show you our live traffic maps here. You can still see all of that red there indicating this backup. Expected to stay closed through at least 11 o'clock this morning, a 10-mile backup at that. So if you have to head north and you typically take I-77, I don't recommend doing that today. Instead, you're going to want to take Highway 21. You can see it flowing smoothly there to navigate around that ongoing backup. In addition to that, you can see our live traffic map really is not doing too bad otherwise. We have this one ongoing incident. It's a crash right here on 7th Street. Other than that, no big ongoing problems other than I-77 that is closed northbound in Iredell County.
Well, check this out. This weekend will be just right for you to get out and about, kicking things off with the River Jam. You can head over to the U.S. National Whitewater Center for live music, food, and more. Whether you're into kayaking, rock climbing, or just relaxing by the water, there's something for everyone. It all kicks off tonight at 7. And the good times continue into Saturday at the Beer, Bourbon, and Barbecue Festival. From noon until 6, you can enjoy some food, drinks, music, and community at Valentine's Backyard. You can head over to their website to grab your ticket. All right, so if you're still having breakfast or coffee, you might want to put it down for this next story, because this one is, I don't know. We're talking about questionable and sometimes just downright gross things that we've seen at work. A Reddit post online is gaining traction this morning as people have started talking about the weird things they've seen their coworkers do. One person posting they've seen a coworker clipping their toenails at their desk. Who does that?
Sorry about that. Over the top.
Another says they heard someone, listen to this, brushing their teeth while using the restroom at work. Okay, that person, that's disgusting. The biggest overall complaint is from employees when coworkers heat up bad smelling food in the office.
Chris?
That was once.
One of us has done this. We won't call any names, but.
No. See? Okay. It was not here. It was not here. I learned my lesson since that point. I heated up salmon and I got finished on eating it. And somebody walked in and I was like, ugh, who heats fish in the microwave? And I lied. I was like, yeah, I don't know who does that. Who is that guy? Like, turned as pink as the salmon, and I haven't done it since.
I will admit, I have done it. I have done, not here.
Okay.
And also learned the lesson.
Yeah, see, you do it once and you're ashamed.
I'll say I think I have as well. I think I have as well.
You let me be the fall guy.
It's just like food that you bring and you're like, it's my lunch. And then after the fact, you're like, oh, maybe that wasn't the best idea.
Yeah, and you know what? Hey, fish is great. It's just all about the perfect thing. Brushing your teeth at home, wonderful. Just maybe frowned upon in other locations.
Yeah, and definitely do not clip your toenails at work.
I'll stop doing that.
Don't
Sorry.
do that. All right, imagine flying coast to coast in under 3 hours. A new bill could make that all possible. The Supersonic Aviation Modernization Act would lift a decades-old ban on civilian supersonic flights over the U.S., allowing planes to fly faster than the speed of sound.
And we can have supersonic flight without the sonic boom. And that's what boom is about. They've got a plant there in Greensboro at PTI. They're ready to go. They just need legislation like this bill to unlock the potential.
As you just heard, this bill is a big deal for Greensboro because Boom Supersonic is building a $500 million factory at the Piedmont Triad International Airport. That company plans to launch its boomless jets by 2029. That's the thing, it's the sound that people don't want to deal with, but 3.5 hours, imagine that. All right, well, make sure you stay with us right here on WCNC Plus. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to have another check of weather and traffic. Majestic continues to monitor the impacts of that deadly crash that happened this morning, shutting down I-77 north in Iredell County. And then we'll, of course, have the day's top headlines coming up over on the broadcast side at 9 o'clock. Our own Jane Marmayal, you see her there in our live Impact News studio. She will take over from there. She'll be talking to Busch Gardens about their brand new roller coaster. You don't want to miss that, in addition to all of the live breaking events as they happen from our area and across the nation right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, good morning, everyone. We are still seeing those significant backups on I-77 northbound lanes in Iredell County. You can see it here, a live look of that stop and go traffic. It's either stopped or it's moving very slowly. It's because we had a deadly crash overnight and we're still seeing those backups that extend 10 miles south of it, expecting those delays through 10 a.m. So if you have to travel along I-77, that's what you typically take to head north. I would suggest to not do that, but rather take Highway 21. That's going to be your best bet for your Friday morning commute. Chris, how's the weather today?
Hot, plain and simple, hot and humid, feeling like the lower 90s. Check it out. 86 degrees is actually going to feel more like 90 come 1 p.m. And then once we get to about even 89, 90, feeling like the lower to the mid 90s. So stay cool, everybody. Here's your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. I was teasing on WCNC Plus. Mid 80s on Sunday, slight chance for an isolated storm, but better chance for rain on your Saturday morning. We have the upper 80s Monday, Tuesday. Best chance for rain this week on Wednesday. Take care.